So QRD sent me their controller for me to test out on hack and slash, FPS, and on racing games. The Spark N5 was one of the first controllers to have a built-in Hall effect trigger and joysticks, and we will go over them in this video. Having multiple controllers myself, which I use for specific case scenarios, the PlayStation layout and Legends have always been my preference thanks to the PSP. Luckily, you get the QRD Spark N5 in a PlayStation layout, but in the body of an Xbox controller. More on that later, but first, inside the box you get the controller itself, the manual, cable, and its phone holder. Upon touching the controller for the first time, I immediately noticed the lack of grips in its handles, which is fine as I have some grip tapes with me to put on this bad boy. But one thing I do 100% like is its back paddles. More on that in the comfort segment of this video. You're free to skip to whichever part you need information on as I put timestamps below. Just give me a thumbs up, will ya? Or a sub. The Spark N5 does not feel cheap at all. Its outer shell is smooth and I wish there were grips added to this as the coating could be an oil magnet. Just refrain from eating your Jollibee fried chicken around this and you'll probably be fine. Ay, Jollibee, baka naman. Joysticks feel smooth as well without any scratching and the button tactility is okay. The triggers feel smooth without any bumps here and there due to interference, which I noticed in some of my controllers. So far, with my impression, there's nothing out of the ordinary and nothing I feel is negative. But how about the comfort? My hands are small, and they're so small they fit my wife's hand, and my wife is 4'11" in height. Bruh! With that said, I'm able to reach all buttons comfortably, including the back paddles, and I should say the back paddles are now my new favorite. Comparing this with back buttons, pressing on the paddles feel way more natural for your finger movements versus pressing on a back button, which kinda causes your wrist to twist in a certain way. Moving forward, I'm going with back paddles all the way. Onto the joysticks, they feel a tad bit heavy for me as I got used to lighter joysticks, but that is just fine. Grips on the sticks are okay for me as the tips are rubber, yet this would benefit from even more grip. Rubber stick covers are cheap though, so all good. I feel I'm already making it kinda obvious that for me, grip is the most important factor to consider when getting yourself a controller. Grip first, before features. And with that said, onto the features, this has got Hall effect joysticks and Hall effect triggers. Basically, there are magnets inside that detect how much pressure you put into the button or stick. So the harder you press, the more signal it detects. This applies to character movement speed for the sticks and gas pedals for the triggers. This features a gyroscope as well, which basically gives you precision that could match a mouse. Could match a mouse, not would. As much as I would like to try it on Warzone, unfortunately, the game wants me to emulate this controller into an Xbox controller. What a bummer. I'm used with stick aiming anyways, so that's alright. Just to be clear, there's no issue with this controller. It's Warzone 2. Gyro works in Steam's controller calibration feature, so all's good here. This has 9 LED colors you may switch by pressing the set button, or you may turn this off by holding down the set button for a few seconds to save more battery. And speaking of the battery, this has got a 1200 mAh capacity, which is standard to controllers and can last about 8 to 10 hours of continuous use. As for the back paddles, you may assign buttons to them by pressing the set button and the paddle you wish to set up. Once done, press the buttons you want to assign to the macro and press the back button again to solidify the newly set macro. Like all products, the Spark N5 has its downsides. First, the phone holder holds your phone at a limited angle, which kind of forces you to hold your phone in a specific way. I like my controllers close to my chest as it's the most comfy position for my hands. With the phone holder of the Spark N5, I can't do that with my iPhone, so I will have to twist my wrists forward to be able to see the screen and have it close to my face. Number 2, as I said in the earlier parts of this video, I would like more grip on my controllers, but that is a personal preference, nothing grip tapes cannot fix. I use cloth tapes on my mice to add more grip and absorb sweat, so that will be done on the Spark N5 as well. I enjoyed testing this controller as this introduced me to a new favorite feature, the back paddles. I don't think I ever will go back to back buttons ever again, My response time with paddles is just a lot smoother than buttons due to the natural movement of my fingers. Plus, they do not cause me to use my wrists, and I think the less muscles used, the better the experience. Got questions? Comment down below. Link to QRD shopping site is in the description if you're looking to get yourself a Spark N5. This is Biboyharanero. Subscribe.